She's a past service leader here, and any of you old timers will remember that she led and composed many, many services. She's an avid Democrat, a donor to many worthy causes, most especially to our beloved Wayne County Public Library, and a human being par excellence. So please join me in, it's true, don't be modest, in welcoming Barbara, and she's going to speak about hummingbirds. I've seen this presentation. It's brilliant. It's professional. It will floor you. So please, Barbara.
Man, thank you all. Sheila, you're too generous.
Nah, I'm a cheapskate.
I'm gonna look to move this.
Yes, I think you should.
I could have talked for an hour, Barbara, but I knew you'd throw your shoes at me, so I
Okay.
didn't.
What are we looking at back there? I've got to get my program up, Tom. How do I do it?
Right now, we see you.
We're looking at you.
You're looking at me.
You want to
Do I do screen share?
Yeah, you got to
share?
Let me open it up.
We worked this all out.
Yes.
Hold on.
Wish you hadn't put it back so, we could see
No,
the people.
I'll have to do, want to get it here. I really don't know, and now I did it again, so I don't really know what I'm doing, and you'll notice that. Okay, I'm going to screen share, and I'm going to share this. Is it up?
No.
Not yet.
Share. Well, I have to share it.
Almost.
Okay, it's.
There it is. Now just go to.
Now, you're
viewing
looking
so
at the
you get a
wrong
full
thing.
screen.
I'm going to look at the, this is a PowerPoint that I put together for the CrossFit group
Yes.
for seniors at the Wayne County YMCA. And many of them are bird lovers and wanted to know about hummingbirds because they're very fascinating. So I put this together. It's basically, it's not my research at all, but it is my hard work of trying to focus on how to present all of this wonderful information that you will be hearing in a minute. Okay. This is me. I was also the regional coordinator for the second Pennsylvania Breeding Bird Atlas.
Wow.
And that is a 20-year project that takes place in a lot of states because we're trying to census the wildlife, and we do it with, besides birds, with other things. In Pennsylvania, we did it 20 years ago, and we're in the middle of doing the third Breeding Bird Atlas. And this is a 5-year project. And that was an incredible help for me to become much more skillful in my birding skills and understanding of birds. So that all kind of comes together in why I do these things. Okay. Hummingbirds are only found in the Western Hemisphere, and they're found nowhere else in the world. And they are found, I'm going to try this. I don't know if I'll succeed. No, I'm not succeeding. From the tip of South America to Canada. And they breed all the way up into past Anchorage, Alaska. That's the roughest hummingbird. And they breed all the way down to the tip of South America. That's the greenback firecrown. We'll talk about those birds. Okay, what happened here and why they're only on one side of the world is because during the 4.6 billion years of our existence, the Earth came together in clumps, and it had a big land mass. At one point, it was called Pangea, and that's where the story starts for most of us. We know Pangea. Pangea began to break apart, and it broke apart starting at about 260 million years ago. At that time, dinosaurs were around, and they were evolving. Plants had already evolved, insects had already evolved, And among those dinosaurs, there were little theropods. Theropods are the kind of dinosaur that stands on 2 feet. And the only animals in the world that do that are humans and birds. So the theropods gave rise to the birds. How these little things came about and managed to evolve to what we see today and over 11,000 species worldwide is amazing. But I'm going to only talk about these hummingbirds because they are totally amazing. Okay, so as the continents pulled apart, the hummingbirds began to follow the plants. The plants were moving toward a warmer climate because as the earth turned, it got colder and so forth and so on. We know about the ice ages that took place. And much of the plant material, flowers and so forth, that the birds were pollinating ended up down here in South America, in the along the Andes spine, and in the very green area of the Amazon. So that's where the concentration of hummingbirds are today, although we have them in those different areas that I spoke about. As a matter of fact, we know hummingbirds were in Europe because in 2004, there was a specimen that was found that was 34 million years old.
Wow.
So that leg of hummingbird evolution died off there, and the others continued to evolve once they got into the warmer climates of South America. Okay, this is basically what the habitat looks like for a lot of hummingbirds. This is a cloud forest. It's in South America. You can see the palm trees and so forth. It looks like this quite a lot. The birds love it, the plants love it, and they get along real well. Okay, hummingbirds are broken down into 9 genera or genuses. I don't like to say genuses. I'm going to call them genera. And a genus is I'll give you the definition. It's a distinct group of individuals that look alike, but they have different feathers and ornamentation, tails and gorgets. Now the gorgets are the chin, under the chin of the male. You'll see that, and when we see hummingbirds, we see that flash, and it's the males. They're really super beautiful. There are 9 of them. There are 9 species within these 360 species that are in these different groups, each of them having a different number of species. And I will go through all of those. I'll give you representative examples and some of the beauty that they convey in our world. Okay, the hermits. The hermit hummingbirds are drab in color and they're moderately long tails. There are 26 species there. This is the little hermit. This guy is, he is about 2 3/4 inches long. And that's from the tip of his tail to the tip of his bill. 2 3/4 inches. It's a tiny bird we're talking about. Think tiny. This whole thing is think tiny. Okay. The thing about this bird is that it has a pretty wide territory, and the males defend their flowers very actively. But the one thing they also do is the males will congregate in specific areas and display for the females. They'll chirp. They sing, by the way. They do have a song. It's difficult for us to hear it, but they do have one. And the males will demonstrate how beautiful they are, and the females will look at them and decide, well, this is the one I will choose for my partner, so that we can raise a family. The next one, another representative of this hermit species, is the sicklebill, white-tipped sicklebill. Look at the bill on that thing.
Wow.
This is probably the most curved bill in the world, as I've been reading. It's a very specialized bill. And it is specialized because of the flowers that it pollinates and the nectar that it drinks. It lives in the tropics, and it's a frequent pollinator of the heliconia. If you've ever been to South America, Colombia, or Costa Rica, many of those countries have the heliconia, and that's what these birds pollinate and drink the nectar from. They don't really defend a territory. They just kind of go from plant to plant because they're so specialized. These plants are so specialized that not many hummingbirds can get into them and feed anyway. So these guys don't have to protect much. The next species, the next genus are the bee hummingbirds. There are 36 species of those, and all the hummingbirds that are found in the eastern United States and Canada are bee hummingbirds. They belong to the genus bee hummingbirds. They have flashy gorgets, and they're small. Now, we know of one. That is the bee hummingbird.
Wow.
That is the smallest bird in the world. That bird measures 2 inches from the tip of the bill to the tip of the tail. It weighs about a penny, the weight of a penny. And it is endemic and threatened on the island of Cuba. That's the only place you'll find a bird like this. So he's a very special bird to have around. The other one, of course, is our famous ruby throat. This is the bird that comes from Central America all the way up here and all the way up into Canada to breed. It does not breed on the other side of the Rocky Mountains. So this is our hummingbird, basically. And we all know this guy, and we all think he's the only hummingbird in the world, but he's not. While I'm at it, I might as well talk about some of the things as I go along here. Some of the special things about hummingbirds that I didn't turn the page and forgot to talk about. The weight of hummingbirds average from a penny, as we saw, to the weight of a sparrow. The length of the bill from the tip of the tail to the tip of the bill averages from 2 to 9 inches. Their heart rate, they beat 1,200 times a minute. Their heart rate will drop to 50 beats, 110, 50 beats. When they go into a state of torpor, Torpor. That's a state almost of hibernation, but it's not really hibernation. It's where they really shut their bodies down. And we'll show that here. They breathe about 250 breaths a minute. And their wings beat 50 times a second. And the males, while they are displaying, can do dives recorded at 55 miles an hour. So when you see that hummingbird over your feeder doing his U's, he's demonstrating, but he's not really flying very fast at that point because he can reach 55 miles an hour and then turn, it's amazing.
Is that also a defensive move when they?
Yes, that's one of them too, because he's chasing people away, chasing other birds away.
I see a lot of.
Their energy requirements are incredible. They've got to eat they've got to drink at least every 15 minutes in order to keep up this kind of all of the things we talked about, 1,200 beats a minute, 250 breaths, and so forth. So they're constantly moving, and during the day they'll drink 1.5 to 3.5 times their weight in nectar, just to keep going. And when they slow down, they go into torpor. What happens? I mentioned it briefly, but we'll talk about it further. They lose 10% of their body weight at night because the body is still going, but they're not drinking. So It's quite a little machine here. And the other thing about them is they do see ultraviolet light. And that's an important thing when we talk about their feathers and the attraction that the females have for the males. What else are we talking about? Well, that's the bees. Let's go to the next group. Next group are the mangoes. There are 29 species of those. They have straight bills, medium sized, primarily green. And here's a great example. This is the sparkling violet ear. You see the violet ears there? That's the male. I'm showing you only pictures of males right now. So you can really get an idea of the razzle dazzle that these birds have. They are totally, totally amazing. This guy stays only in South America. He is in the Andes from Venezuela, northern Venezuela, all the way down to Argentina. And he doesn't migrate. He stays there, and he raises, or she raises the family. The next one of this genus is the horned sunbeam, sun gem. This guy is a really beautiful bird. Look at the colors on him. But he has an extremely small range. He ranges from the top of, runs along the northern part of the Amazon up to Suriname, and then very, very kind of a strip, just at the top. And he's under a threat also from devastation of deforestation and other things that are going on there. Our next one is a tooth-billed hummingbird. Now, the insert shows the tip of his bill. He has teeth in his bill. Strange for a bird, but he has teeth. And he's going to use them when he is feeding. This bird, along with others that have similar ornamentation in their bills, will bite the end of a flower because they can't reach into a flower. And they'll bite the back end and just draw the nectar out from that. That's what that bill is for. And they'll also use them to defend the territory. I guess that can be fatal. The others are, here's another one, emeralds. The emeralds are 108 species. Primarily, they're green, and some are crested, and some have elongated tails. That's a broad-billed hummingbird, and I can say that this bill does visit the southern part of the United States. So if you're lucky to be down there during the summer months, when these guys are around, you may see one at a feeder. But look at him, green, beautiful, kind of drab, but really pretty. The other one is the sword-tailed hummingbird. Now that bird has a tail length of about 6 3/4 inches. From the tip of the bill to the tip of the tail. It measures 6 3/4 inches, but his body is much shorter. His tail measures about 4 inches. So his body lengths are around 2 inches on these medium-sized guys. Who else do we have here? Oh, this is the snowcat. Wonderful little bird. He is found only in the Central American cloud forest. And this little bird does, he leks also, like the hermits do. They get together and they prance around and they chirp and sing, and the females watch, and then they decide who's the best looking male to mate with. And he's a little guy too. He is 2.5 inches from the tip of its bill to the tip of its tail. The Jacobins and the topaz are the next species. There were only 4 of those, 2 and 2. This is the white-necked Jacobin, and he measures about 4 3/4 inches long. He has a wide variety a wide habitat in his range, which we saw this bird. We saw quite a few of them in Costa Rica several years back. We went on a birding trip, and there were plenty of these guys. They're quite beautiful. Another, the crimson topaz is an incredible bird. All of what you're looking at is iridescence. There's no pigmentation on that bird. It's only iridescence. All those feathers. So when it moves, it's always changing color. The whole body, not just the gorget. And that, including his tail length, he measures about 7 inches long. So, when you see him. The next group are the coquettes. And there are 68 species of coquettes. They're small to medium with flashy crests. They're colorful to drab, and some have long tails. This little guy, the rubber-crested coquette, is tiny. He measures about 2.5 inches, and you'll find him along the edges of things. He's not a forest dweller per se. He likes shrubby areas around driveways. We'll see him around a lot of human habitation. As a matter of fact, on the trip where we saw the Jacobin, we got a chance to look at one of these little guys, and they are living.
And where are they?
Oh yeah, it's just incredible to see them.
Where do you see them? What part of
Costa Rica?
Costa Rica, I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Next one we have in this species is the blue-backed. I'm sorry,
Bearded.
the blue-bearded helmet crest, and that's about 4.5 inches. The thing about this guy is he's restricted to the upper elevations of the Sierra Madre de Santa Marta in northern Colombia, and he's perhaps the rarest or the least known of this species and he is threatened severely now by deforestation and firewood gathering. Hopefully, with some of the programs that the American Bird Association is doing with Pro Avis, which is a South American bird conservation group, they're making changes in those habitats, teaching the people about them, and giving them other ways of handling the needs that they need from the forest without devastating the wildlife there. Hopefully, this little bird will have a chance. Next one is the greenback fire crown. Now that little orange is his forehead. He just comes out there, and if you look at the colors on the bird and look at the colors on the insert there, this Tristrix plant, that is the plant that he pollinates, this species pollinates throughout Argentina and where else? Chile. That's where he stays, Argentina to Chile. He doesn't go anyplace else. He breeds in the Tierra del Fuego, way down there in the summer months. And he's an extremely important pollinator because of the flowers. This plant, I found out, is a member of the mistletoe family. And there's also another one that is just all over the forests in Patagonia. And these guys just take care of all of the, apparently the bug population isn't so great, but so these guys are doing a really good job at that. Next species to look at here are the mountain gems. They're brilliant, they have brilliant colors, flashy gorgets, spectacular tails, and elongated gorgets. So what do we have? We have the blue-throated mountain gem. Remember this bird because when you visit your friends in Arizona, you may see them at their feeders.
Huh.
Feeding, this little bird will come up from northern Mexico and visit us in the summer months. And I've never seen them down there, but you have to start looking and give us a report. Um, they are largest of the species found north of Mexico. They weigh about 3.5 times the weight of our ruby throat, and they take to artificial feeding, and that has really helped extend their range. Some of these are overwintering also. In they talk here about Arizona mostly. So when you're down there, you have to look. The last one we're going to talk about, well, oh no, this is the Riveles. And the Rivoli is a very beautiful bird. Dark body. Look at that beautiful gorget, and then his crown. Incredible. Another one. Long tail. Very flashy. The giant. I flipped pages. I'm sorry. I can tell I'm out of practice here. I should have flipped the page. This is the garnet throat. If you look at the color of his wings and the color of the flower, doesn't it suggest something? It suggests to me that there may be some coevolution going on here with this species. But it's spectacular. Look at it. And his little tongue is sticking out there. Good measure. This breeds according to the Cornell Labs, this bird does breed in Arizona and New Mexico because of the feeding stations and so forth. The birds will come up and they will find habitat enough to breed. So that's if you're really out looking for them, this might be an interesting find for you. The next species are the brilliants. There are 61 species of these. They're small. Some you'll notice some are puff-legged. You might wonder what that means. I have a picture of it, and you'll see. This is an Inca, collared Inca. This is very beautiful. I've seen photographs of this in the forest while they're foraging. And because the forests tend to be dark, this bird almost looks black. And then you see this white on his breast, and then his white tail, and he's flying around fast. These are also in the canopy in the cloud forests. The marvelous spatula tail. Now that's a beauty.
Oh my goodness.
He measures, his body is about 2 inches. His tail measures another 4. And he has 2 little spatulas at the end. And he's able to manipulate those and, use them to attract a female when he is courting. So he's found in Peru. And it's probably, I've never seen any photographs of this, although there may be one coming up. I can't remember. There's the puff leg. You see the little white around the tail below his belly line? Those are his puff legs. Those are his feathers, puffed out. There are several puff legs in this genus. Let's see. Now, the sapphire pufflegs inhabit the humid areas of the mountains and in the mountains. They include borders of glades and tall, wet montane forests, or around the grassy Paramo slopes. The Paramo slope, you'll hear that. This bird is found at about 16,000 feet. And when they talk about a Paramo, it's a Spanish word for the way the mountains form, and as they come down on the other side, they gradually start to break up and form little gullies, valleys, and plains. And that's a paramal. And the vegetation is different in those areas than it is down in the cloud forest area. And these guys are able to live at that level and succeed, obviously. The giant is our last one. And there's only one species, and it's much larger and slow moving. That bird measures 9 inches long,
Wow.
and he lives above 8,000 feet. They think there was only one species, but recently I've read they believe through some DNA testing that there might be 2 species. One species, one of these birds will maintain the lower level of the breeding range, and the other will maintain not only the lower level, but go all the way up to the upper level. And so in order to do that, these birds have adapted the hemoglobin, which they've been able to, over the course of evolution, hemoglobin has evolved to meet the needs of these birds that live at higher elevation where there's less oxygen. And there's a lot of work that is going on right now in that regard. So these guys can live there. We can't live there, but they certainly can. Okay. Most of these birds that we've been talking about are in that light area here, in Central America, in South America. And that is really, they're congregated in the Andes from Colombia, Venezuela, down to Chile, Bolivia, and then they go down and you'll see the light going down, the light areas going down the spine of the Andes all the way down to Tierra del Fuego. That indicates that this is an indication of the hummingbirds, the way they live in this climate. You'll also see off to the side, that is the Falkland Islands. And the greenbacked firethorn, that little bird with that beautiful orange, migrates to that place back and forth. So he's like, our ruby-throated. They do ocean voyages. Anyhow, where do hummingbirds live? Well, we talked about it a little bit as we've been going through this. Most of them live at the 3,000 foot level. That's where the cloud forest is. And in that area, you'll see there are many more birds here than there are above it and below it. You can find about 25 species of birds in one area around a mountain in an area like that. So if you have the opportunity to be in Central South America, in those countries, it might be fun to take a look at some of the hummingbirds that are there. You probably pick many of them up. They get lesser and lesser as they go to the top of the mountains, and they get lesser and lesser because they haven't developed the hemoglobin to which will allow them to breathe in thinner oxygen environments. Okay, we're going to talk about sexual dimorphism. Now, we've been only looking at the male hummingbirds, and we know the males are spectacular, but they do have females. And I've got females on the right, so you can see the difference in how these birds look. That's the blue-tufted stark-throat. There's a black-throated mango. Look at the difference between the two of those two. He's got a lot of blue on him and around his throat and green around his body. She's rather white. She's pretty. Then you've got the Annis hummingbird. Annis has a beautiful gorget, but she has a little dot there on her throat, which is kind of giving him a run for his money, I think. And one of the nice stories about the Annis hummingbird came from Pat's daughter-in-law. She photographed him out a window from her studio. They were
Yeah,
Wow.
mating, not mating. They were nesting
yeah. She had
in
pictures of
California.
them.
And she had pictures of them and videos, and it was an anise, and that's really nice because annas are now they're overwintering in California, and they think they're going to be establishing a permanent location. So all of this business that we do with feeding birds helps. And I think the climate helps too. It's getting warmer.
Are the annas a little bigger than some others?
They are a little bit.
A little larger?
The anise, I don't have dimensions on the anise here. It's about the size of a rufous or a ruby.
Oh,
Iridescence. How do they get so beautiful? Why? What makes them so beautiful? Okay. Here are the 9 genuses. Those are representative males. We've looked at some of them, most of them. And you'll notice that you can see that the little feather structures on them. Well, there's a reason to that. And iridescence happens when the spectrum of light, we have to talk about light now. White light comes in, okay, we think it's light, it's white, but it's full of colors. We just don't see them. We see them only when the pigment bounces back the color and the wavelength of the light. In iridescence, what happens is these birds have what they call melanosomes, barbules, and gorget feathers. So we'll start with the gorget feathers. The gorget feathers are what we see, those striations that we saw on the males. Those are made up of barbules, little tiny feathers. And in those tiny feathers are packed these air sacs. They're little objects with air in them. And they can be packed as dense as 15 layers deep. And what happens there is when the sun shines or the light comes down, the light is coming down here on the left. That's the wavelength and phase giving reflected red. This is how it happens. The white light is coming down, and there are many colors in that. You see them? And they're all wiggling around. And on the right side, all of a sudden, they've got into sync. You see where the red begins to turn and get and combine? It comes out as red. That's what we're seeing. So the melanosomes take the white light and break down the components. And when the components are broken down and bound together, they reflect the color. That's what happens in iridescence. Okay. Feeding. Drinking and hovering. So eating on the run. They're sipping nectar and remaining motionless in midair. How do they do that? Well, the tongue of a hummingbird is made up of 2 tubules, which are represented at the top half of this. This is a flower. This is the nectar. The light blue is the nectar. Okay, so the bird is putting his tongue into the nectar, and you'll see 2 tubes. When it is in the nectar, the tubes unfold. Those little flaps unfold. By suction, they pull in a quantity of nectar, and as the bird pulls his tongue back out, it pushes the nectar down the tubes into his throat, like so. There's the tip of the tongue. His little tongue is sticking out. He's about to pull it back, and it just zips all the fluid back down into his throat. They do that about 12 seconds, 12 times every second. 12 times per second. Okay. Remember that. I'm going to give you a test at the end. Okay, so that's it. I mean, and where do those tubules go? I mean, that's a little bird long, and he's putting them into this this flower with a very long entrance. They go around his head. They are attached to his skull,
Wow.
around his eye. This is the red. This is an illustration of it, and both sides. So those two tubes go around the skull of the bird, and when he wants to drink, pushes it up, and it goes in and out, like a spring, I guess. But that's the mechanism. That's not at 12 times a second. Flying. How do they stay? How do they stay in the air without dropping? And they're hovering and drinking at the same time. I mean, this is, if you can do it, it's terrific. So there's a comparison with a raven and a hummingbird wing. Okay, you'll see the difference in the size of the bones. These bones on the side of the hummingbird have gotten smaller. The hand bone has gotten real long on the hummingbird. And most of the hummingbird's wing is a hand. It's his hand. Those are our fingers. That's his hand. And the other thing that's noticeable about this is the comparison between the breast muscles in these birds. The hummingbird has a very large breast muscle and the pectoral muscle. And that muscle, because we know it's beating, the heart is beating 1,200 beats a minute, and his wings are flapping at 50 times a second. He needs a lot of energy. So that muscle is really powerful. And it makes up about a quarter of its body weight. So that's pretty big. So when you see that hummingbird, you see that big breast there, that's his muscle. Okay, I'm going to talk about this now.
To fly in this extraordinary. Hummingbirds have changed the structure of their
Can you get your volume up?
Here in Apple, scientist Doug Schuler is working to analyze exactly how they do so.
Hummingbirds are remarkable animals. They have extreme adaptations in physiology and anatomy, and they also have a very unique behavior. They can hover. And the approach that we've taken is to study how those physiological and anatomical adaptations determine their hovering ability.
Using high-speed cameras, he records the mechanics of their flight in minute detail. He can slow down the action by around 40 times, and so observe exactly what's taking place. Most birds flap their wings up and down, but hummingbirds flap theirs more like insects. They twist their wings around between strokes and so can generate lift when flapping both forwards and backwards. Doing this at high speed puts a huge strain on their wings. So to withstand it, the wings have a special structure.
The hummingbird wing is very stiff and undergoes few changes in shape as it rapidly beats back and forth.
They owe this stiffness to a modification of the bones. The arm bones have shrunk, but the bones of the hand have elongated and support most of the wing surface. Twisting this wing at the shoulder and at the wrist produces the hummingbird's distinctive wing beat.
Okay, did y'all get it?
Wow.
He's twisting his wings. That's why when we described it, before we knew about this, I was taught, it's like a figure eight. It's a figure eight. That's what they're doing. It's amazing, isn't it? Okay, how do they save energy? We talked about that. We talked about torpor, and we're going to do that now. Well, they cling to flowers to save energy. They perch. They do a lot of perching, and they do incubating. But perching, we think everybody, this is true for most birds, but hummingbirds particularly, since they need so much energy to function, every 15 minutes they've got to drink. So they have to take a rest every now and then, and they do a lot of resting. If you ever watch a hummingbird, and I do quite a lot on my back porch, the little males will come and he'll have his little drink, and then he'll fly up and sit and wait and look and look, constantly perching and looking. They're saving energy. Okay, now this is how torpor is achieved in a hummingbird. This is a picture of an Anna's hummingbird, and she is being photographed before she's going to sleep at night. And it's being photographed with a thermal camera. And the process that she uses to get to the point where she's lowered her body temperature is called thermoregulation. Very simple. It's thermoregulating her body. So there she is. She's hot. You can see her. She's there. Her temperature is probably about 110 degrees, which it normally is. She's bringing her body temperature down. You can still see the hot spots. The yellow are the hot spots. Okay? And that's a few minutes later. Where is she?
Wow.
You can barely see her outline. She has brought her temperature down to about 35 degrees.
Wow. Whoa.
Well, no, I'm sorry. This one is about 50 degrees. That's still low, right? This happens every night. Your hummingbird does this every night. Think about this. What's going on with these little guys?
And if the ambient temperature was 35, then they would
bring it down even further. Yes.
You talking centigrade or Fahrenheit?
Sorry?
Centigrade or Fahrenheit?
Fahrenheit.
This is Fahrenheit. I wouldn't use centigrade because I can't translate it fast enough.
And Barbara, are they perching when they're doing this?
They're doing where they ordinarily would go to sleep. They would find their little
sitting
roost.
still.
They're sitting still.
On
Oh,
a
yeah.
perch?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, they'll sit on a branch or whatever. I know we have two that like to use the rhododendron right near the feeder. They just go fly in. They don't have to go too far. It's nice and, surrounded. It's covered. It's, protected. And they go to sleep. And then I see it.
Sleep in nests?
No, they don't nest. They sleep in their nest. No, they don't. The thing about this is that when they're in a state of torpor, I'll read what the scientist talks about. It's not sleep. It's not like a deep sleep. It's way more than that, or less than that, depending on how you look at it. It's like their bodies shut down. They sometimes ruffle their feathers when they're asleep, with their eyes still closed. But in torpor, none of that is happening. They cannot respond to outside stimuli, or maybe 20 or 30 minutes until they warm up all the way back to normal body temperature. So basically, they're dead for that period of time, all through that period of night whenever they go to bed, and then they wake up.
That must make them vulnerable to predators, whoever the predators are.
Yes, it is. That's why they are very careful where they find their little perch to hide.
Do you know how long they sleep?
I don't know how long they sleep, but if you think about it, I've seen this year, the first brood she had, she was still feeding at 8 o'clock. And then I didn't see her after that. So
PM.
PM. So she went to bed, I assume she went to bed at 8 o'clock and slept all night until whenever the sun came up in the morning, okay? And then she had to start warming up. As the temperature rose, she started to warm her body up. How they do that, we don't know. But they do it every night. So that's another otherworldly thing about them. Just amazing. Okay. Here is, I've inserted this picture. This is an Ecuadorian hill star. This is the bird who lives at 17,000 feet in the Andes when it's very cold. This is the bird they've recorded down to 38 degrees Fahrenheit body temperature. Amazing, right? And then he wakes up in the morning and he starts again. And he's in there and very, very high. Eating, sipping the nectar that is being generated by the, not all cactus plants, but succulents and things of that sort. So he's working hard.
But they eat bugs too, don't they?
They do eat bugs. If there are bugs up there, they'll eat them. Tiny ones, so they can't eat big ones, but,
Will hummingbirds eat bugs?
Yes.
Barbara, what's their lifespan?
I'm sorry.
Lifespan?
Oh, I'll get that. I'll get to that. About 3 years. But there have been some recaptures, and recaptures, I mean, they try to ban those little feet.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and they do. They are successful. Okay, one of the last things I want to go through is movement and migration. They move locally at short distances and long distances. We know that because we see them here. That's our ruby. This bird travels from Panama Canal, Central America, all the way up to us and Canada. And then she goes back. Now you'll see the blue around Florida. It may stay there depending on the weather, and it will stay there because people still keep their feeders out, which is okay. Because in migration, you keep your feeder out as long as you can, because because they have to eat so frequently, they have to stop frequently. So when they're making that long migration from Canada, they're coming by our house and waving, keep that feeder out, keep that feeder out. I keep it out until it almost gets too cold to even think about, migrating. So if you're feeding, do that. The other bird, here's the rufous. Now this is the rufous hummingbird. You'll see the blue part of the map shows where he is normally. That's where he hangs out all the time. You'll find him there all through every season. But he migrates through the yellow, and that's our southwestern part of the United States. And he ends up there in Canada and in Alaska. And Leah Kasner's son was banding them up there in Alaska on a project that he was doing with the Fish and Wildlife Service. So we know that they exist all the way up there. And the thing about it is, it's just another little tidbit. This bird is considered the longest migrant in the world. And it's measured by its body length. Its body length is about 3¼ inches. So if you took 3¼ inches and divided it into 3,900 miles, you'd get 7 million body lengths that this guy has to travel. As opposed to the Arctic tern, which we've been told is the longest migrant in the world. Well, it turns out it isn't, because if you measure his body length against the body length of that rufous, he only goes 51 million body lengths long to go from the Arctic to the Antarctic, where he lives and visits. So these guys are truly, truly amazing. And this guy does it on the flowers that are in bloom in the fall, and he takes the mountain route back down. In the spring, he takes the coastal route up because the flowers are in bloom. It's logical. Let's see. This is, this is local. This is the sparkling violet here. Now, she's a local, and she doesn't really move out of South America. She just goes up and down the mountains, local movement, nothing spectacular about it. She's very,
But it's a he, isn't
it
it?
is a he, but I like to call her a she. Um, They travel up and down the mountain, and they're very accustomed to various habitats. So you'll find them in the woods, in cities, in parks, in your backyard if you have one there. And we're going to do something that I'm going to ask you to close your eyes on. So I want you to see what I'm doing. Okay, I'm calling a single mom with 2 kids. Okay? So I'm going to do this.
Let me close that off. Volume up.
Can't use nobody. That's just background music. The birds are not saying a thing.
What's happening? We can't figure it out.
Oh my God. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, Tom, why they can't see it? Why can't they see it?
What was the?
Is it the next slide?
How do I get it on there?
Next slide, probably.
No.
Is this that outside video you're trying to show?
Yeah.
Okay, you have to unshare your slides and then, share the other page.
What do you mean? I don't know how to do that. Oh,
Okay.
okay. See, that should have been on the, see, I did it in my other program because I didn't have Zoom to worry about. You got to get it on Zoom.
Just
Minimize presentation first, don't you?
Right now, it's, the slide is showing.
I don't know.
Right, get out of the sharing.
Get out of sharing. Get out of sharing.
Okay.
Stop sharing. Okay. And then just go, don't just play this, play the video. Is that what you
Try
said?
it.
Sure.
Try it.
Okay.
Wait a minute, wait a minute.
Share the video.
Where's the video?
Right this one.
Is that it?
Right. Okay. No, this is the one. I want.
Okay, which
Yeah.
one?
This is the one. But you see, you can't see it.
Where is it?
Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
click on it. You just click on whatever, and then double click and go.
Hold
to
on,
the
hold on,
Which
hold
video?
on,
two
hold on.
arrows.
hold on.
2 arrows.
I got it. Oh, okay. I have it. It's here.
Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you click it?
Well, I did, but it's not
Double
working.
click it.
It's not showing, Tom.
Don't you have to click the arrow?
It's not coming, and it's moving on my screen.
Which video are you showing?
This one.
And don't you have to go
It's
back
not
to
coming
share
up.
screen?
Why is that not showing?
I don't know. What do you want to do? Stop it?
No,
Well, you stop
the
sharing.
screen showing pause.
Oh, damn. Okay. I'm sorry. There you go. This is what I want. So,
Okay, can you share that now? Go back to Zoom and share that screen.
where do I do that? You see anything that says share here?
Down at the bottom?
No, the bottom's gone. I don't know what happened to the bottom. See that? Oh, that's participants. Okay. What I'm gonna do is, right? Get rid of those, okay? Now we can share. And I will share.
Sure.
Share.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my.
Hit this
Play.
arrow.
Hit play arrow on the left. The bottom left of
It's
the,
a little
of the
bit
picture.
white arrow.
Still
Barbara,
I'm sorry, it's working on mine.
Oh,
It's not doing it on yours.
yeah, I don't know about that.
Does anybody know how to use this thing?
Great.
Oh, I don't know if I can use this. Okay. Anyway, why don't I can't do anything but
So it's a mother feeding two babies.
the mother feeding two babies.
How big are their eggs? How little,
About the
I
size
should
of a
say.
pea.
A pea, that's what I was guessing.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
can you
saying.
imagine? Oh my gosh.
is it working?
No, no, you,
That some found.
no, there's no lady there. No, that's the wrong one.
All right, so it's not.
working. It's not working.
It says your screen is paused.
Right,
Don't pause it.
I didn't pause it.
You want to get back to your slides and send me that link, I can forward it out. With a video that we missed during the presentation.
Yeah.
Well, it's, I don't know.
Okay, it's,
While we have coffee.
it's a, I'm sorry, it's a Zoom issue, I don't know how to, I really don't
Barbara,
know.
where do they lay their eggs if they don't nest?
Okay, well, since this picture shows you the nest and it shows you the birds in it, and it shows your mama. They build their nests out of spider silk,
Oh, wow.
and they decorate the outside with lichen to camouflage it. And the hummingbird, our ruby throat, does the same thing. And the reason why they build it, we think the reason why they build it with silk is because they can sit in it and stretch it. And as the babies get bigger, the nest stretches. So it makes a lot of sense. But the video I have here shows a mother, sparkling violet ear, feeding her two young. And you can see in this video the rapid movement of her chin as she is regurgitating the fluid that she's giving them. It's amazing to watch it. It's, I don't know how else I can do this.
If you went from home, if you could share that video with Tom, then he can send it out.
I
in an
can't
email.
share it. This is proprietary.
Okay.
I try to put
Gotcha.
it, I try to embed it
Probably
in my program,
Gotcha.
and they won't let me embed it. I've asked them, I wrote them, they won't. It's
Oh.
proprietary. So I can show it, but I can't embed it.
Yeah.
And it worked on my computer,
Hmm.
but since I'm using Zoom, it's a whole different
Yeah, yeah.
thing.
So once the babies fledge and leave the nest, they don't come back.
They don't come back, but
Oh.
she does feed them for about 2 weeks on the wing, like regular birds. They do everything regular birds do. That's the thing. Let me just finish this up and we can have, that won't escape. That won't escape. I guess we're stuck with it, for now. Anyway, let me see it. Maybe it's.
Try to hit the X at the top right corner. There.
you go.
Okay.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Look at that.
One of those sickle beets,
You see the way look what she's doing. She's pumping that out.
Right into the, you can see her throat.
yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
Going right into there.
Yeah.
And you can see the lichen.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can see it. Oh, for Pete's sake.
I think that nest was photographed in a park. And so there are people around. You hear people talking.
Barbara, talk about male and female and two in the nest.
Well, it's hard to tell there. I've been looking at that. It's hard
Yeah,
for me
but
to
look at
tell.
the throat on the one on the left, it looks like a
That's
male.
the ear. That's the side ear.
Yeah, but it looks different than the,
I don't know enough about the babies.
but they usually have
See?
one and one, right?
Yes, one and one.
Oh, they do? Huh.
One of these. So
Interesting.
that's it. I'll play. Um,
How long does it take for an egg to hatch?
I'm sorry?
How long does it take for an egg to hatch?
I think 10 days.
Wow.
Because, they're small birds and, they have got to, okay. Well, all right. Let me see if I can finish the rest of this. Okay. We're gonna finish my program up. So that's all I wanted to say. I think it's, probably about 10 or 12 days, depending on the temperature. Most birds will hatch depending on the ambient temperature. As females will sit up. So if a male is partner in raising, they will raise them together. Sometimes the male will incubate at night while the female is off the nest, where she can feed for herself. But with these guys, the male that has nothing to do with the raising of these little birds. It's only her single mom, and right now I think our two that we have around us are in their second brood. Rubies will have two broods. So if you've got rubies, keep watching. You'll see some activity as they start to feed more, and then as they leave the nest, she'll bring them to the feeder.
When do they breed? Is there a breeding season?
These rubies for us breed from, they come in when the
Why
vinca
don't
or
you
balloon.
stand in front so they can see you?
Okay, I can put this
Both.
down.
Yeah, that's.
When the vigor and bloom, which is like the end of May, end of April, vinca starts to bloom. This year they came very early. Everything came almost a week early. So, and I thought we were going to have some issues with the hummers. Not at all. She started right away, feeding on the feeder, and came to the window and said, "Where is it?" So I had to put it out right away. And she kept feeding, male kept feeding. Now we went away for 3 weeks. We came back. I thought, oh, maybe they moved on, blah, blah. They're still here. And I think they're in the second brood now. Because we did see activity, his ewes and his jays. So they do two broods.
Do they use the same nest
No.
from year to
Well,
year?
yes, they do. The hummers will use the same nest.
Do they pair the same?
I don't know. It depends. I mean, there are at least two males that I know of that are around our feeder. Now there could be three because they all look alike, but you can only tell by their habitat. I mean, by their behavior. And I know we have two different ones. There could be three. I don't know, but they do fight for territory, and they do possess that feeder. Pat knows she's got the fights going on over there.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So,
And when they migrate, do they migrate in packs?
ruby-throated hummingbirds migrate from here further north, all the way up into Canada, Nova Scotia. They'll start coming down. They start coming down from way up there around the end of August, and they take it slowly. They have to travel, and get food. And if you ever stopped over a bridge with a river, and which had, what are those? Not the touch me not touch. I know they're not touch me nots. What are they called?
Forget me.
Yeah, the ones that are sticky and the ones we don't like. Yeah.
Burnouts?
What is it?
Burnouts?
No, we call them touch me nots. We touch them and they pop open.
Oh.
what are they called? I always forget them. But anyway, they love them. That's their
Impatience?
fall. What are they?
No.
Impatience?
Salvia is what they
No.
prefer.
They love salvia, and they love,
Red salvia.
yeah, the one in the fall. Anyway, they love that stuff. And if you stop on a bridge which has a river or a brook running, watch for those flowers in the fall. You'll find hummingbirds all the way
Uh-huh.
down. That's what they follow. Like they follow at the top of the mountain for the roughest when they're coming down. They stay along the mountain range where the flowers are later, so that they can feed themselves as they go down. When they get down to Texas, there's a wonderful hummingbird. I think it was an Attenborough. If you have the Smithsonian channel,
Mhm.
check it out. He did one on hummingbirds, and in it he showed how people are down in Texas along the Gulf. They have hummingbird festivals. Put out hummingbirds everywhere. They put them on their heads. They put them on their feet. It's like insanity. But you'll see these hummingbirds because they congregate and they're getting fat. They feed and feed and feed because they're going to make a transatlantic trip, a trans-Gulf trip of 600 miles. And they have to be able to have enough energy. It takes about 10 hours for them to fly across the Gulf of Mexico. In the spring, they start at the Yucatan and they fill up there too. And then they fly across very close to the water because there's less resistance. And they'll make landfall in Texas and along the Louisiana Gulf. And then they come to see us. They follow the yellow-bellied sapsuckers as they come up. Yellow-bellied sapsuckers basically stay in the southern part of the United States and on the East Coast down in Florida, the Alabama, Georgia, and Carolinas. And as they make their way up, they drill holes to attract bugs to the sap that comes out of the holes. And when the hummingbirds are coming with them, they will drink the sap and eat the bugs. So they make it all the way up here. They're here at the end of April. And she'll start building her nest. And don't forget, we have spiders at that time too, doing their thing. And so they're able to, and they'll use, I saw them once using milkweed, fibers. Going after. Yes, Bill.
Are you saying that they have a 10-day gestation from fertilization to birth? No.
No, I'm saying that once she lays her egg, it's about 10, 12 days for incubation before the egg hatches.
And how many eggs does she lay?
A male to the female.
It's the other way around, Bill. You got it all wrong. It's the female who chooses the mate, not the male. That's a wonderful book. It's called, it's called The Evolution of Beauty.
Or
Yes.
there might be people
Oh,
on
I'm sorry.
Zoom that need questions
Okay.
answered.
Well, I can't see it.
Unshare your slide.
Stop sharing.
Unshare.
What do I do?
Stop sharing. I disagree.
Anybody on Zoom?
Stop sharing. Stop the share.
That's why the nails are so
Yeah.
colorful.
How do we do this?
Yes, you do.
How many eggs can she lay at one time?
I'm sorry?
How many eggs?
The eggs? 2 eggs.
2 eggs.
Only 2 eggs.
Yeah.
Anybody else back there?
Barbara,
Yes?
when you saw the mother feeding the babies,
Right.
she was very colorful, almost like I thought it was a male. Because all the other females you showed me were not terribly colorful, but that particular bird was extremely colorful. So I was curious to know why that is. The mother that was feeding the birds.
I'm sorry, Sharon, would you repeat
She,
that?
I'll tell you,
Yeah.
she thought the the bird in the picture feeding looked very colorful,
She is.
but it was a female.
It was a female, yes.
It
but
was
you
a
didn't see
female,
the
okay.
gorget. She didn't have a big gorget here.
I see, okay, okay.
It's that thing that
Okay.
flashes. And the
Yeah, yeah.
ears puff out on the male.
Okay.
Hers didn't. She
But
just, you know.
she's good looking too.
They're beautiful. Oh, they are
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
There's a book, and there's been some, over the years, the question is, who chooses who in the bird world? Well, the fact of the matter is, the females choose. And that's why the males go on leks. Turkeys lek, you know. Now's a good time to see some of the turkeys. When they, in the fall, it's even better. When they all march around, you know, and strut their stuff. That's called a lek, or they're lekking. It's an area where they all gather, and they all kind of, you know, show their stuff. And the females watch, just like the woodcocks. The woodcocks will do their peeping and zips and in the early spring.
What
The
makes
females.
that happen?
What makes that
What
happen?
makes the males become active?
Their hormones. It's a time of year. It's all, Bill, it's all regulated by seasons. The stars. Really, they follow the stars.
Wow.
There's an awful, I did something on migration, I have to pull it out, but this is just not, it's all regulated. It's the time.
Barbara?
They know it's the time to start migrating because they put birds in cages, right? And they've put carbon paper in the cage.
Huh.
So when the bird steps on it, they'll get some carbon on it, and then they'll go do things. And when it's time for them to start migrating, they will focus their energies and all their footprints toward the north.
Huh.
Amazing.
It's
Amazing.
Wow.
totally amazing. They know. It's the hormonal changes. It's cyclical. You know, we're cyclical.
Has
Joan,
climate change, changed any of the migration and?
climate change is changing migration, yeah.
I think Tamara has a question.
Sorry,
Tamara?
who's that?
No, I don't know.
Hi guys.
Hi.
I'm here on Zoom. Barbara,
Hi.
wonderful presentation. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
Well, thank you.
I'm
sorry it's
fascinated
not-
by. No, it's no reason to be sorry. It's a wonderful presentation. There's so many. I'm fascinated by several things, but I did notice in the beginning. Did it say that the Northeast Pennsylvania Audubon Group was disbanded?
Yes, it has.
Oh, I'm so sorry. And that explains why I had started getting involved and then I couldn't get on Zoom, and I think I must have missed those meetings. So I'm very sorry to hear that.
It disbanded
but-
2 years ago.
And that was right when I started trying to get involved because I was going to take up.
Yeah.
Some people had retired and I wanted to take that up. Anyway, I'm very sad about that. But I'm really fascinated about the thermoregulation, and my background is veterinary medicine and science and health. And I'm thinking that's fascinating. I wonder how many other songbirds do that, and if they do, because chickens don't. When I've scooped them up when they were sleeping, they were still really hot. They run really hot. But, amphibians and reptiles, and then I also know dragonflies do the same thing. They cool down to the ambient temperature, right? And then they need to warm up in the day. So I'm fascinated with that. Like, it's like almost like a step between mammals and dinosaurs. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I'm just fascinated. I want to learn more about that. And then I just wanted to say I have some ruby here, and I'm right along the Delaware, so I see a lot of birds coming through in the fall and in the spring. I'm really blessed by that. But I have some rubies here, resident in the summer. And I noticed the male, when the female, especially early on, when the female is feeding at my feeder, it does this swing. Like it swings down towards her and it comes up and it's like this U shape and it keeps going on and on and on. And is that like their dance that they're trying
Yes,
to
it is.
entice the
That's
female?
what he's doing. He's trying to attract her.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. He does
And
it well.
sometimes I see two doing it,
Yes.
It's interesting. Yeah.
And it's also, he will also do that to defend a flower patch
Mm.
or
Yeah, they can get very aggressive, the males towards one
Well, it
another
has
for
to be.
sure. I've noticed that. Yeah.
If you think about their energy needs and the fact that they have to really drink every 15 minutes,
Yeah.
they can't afford to have somebody else coming in and stealing their juice. So
Yeah.
they're on the alert all the time. They'll visit 2,000 flowers a day.
Wow.
In order to keep their 2,000 flowers a day. They will.
Holy moly. Wow.
Sharon?
Yeah, I remember one time, I mean, I had a feeder when I was in Lackawanna and I can't find my feeder, so I just said I'm gonna go buy one. But I remember I made up the sugar water by what I saw on the internet. And Georgette said you don't have to color it red. You don't have to. Okay. So the other thing is about the protection of the female. I have ducks, as you know, and I also see that I feed 3 ducks that somebody put there. And one duck is always going out to shoo the other ducks away while 2 eat. And in my case of my own ducks that I have, my male will not eat and make sure the females are protected. So much so that even when I go to feed the ducks, he'll try to get rid of me and bite me to make sure that that's taken care of. And I keep on yelling at him and say, eat or else you're going to starve. But he waits till they get what they want. It's something, it's really amazing to watch. And he's wonderful with these females. He protects them in every way. Birds are just amazing. I don't know what to say about them.
Birds are amazing, but their behavior is, they're doing something differently than the hummingbirds are doing.
Yeah.
The hummingbirds are doing it for self-defense. They have to defend that patch. She does it too. You don't see her, but she'll do it too if she has a patch. So
amazing.
Those are the requirements they have. Any more questions?
No, thank you very much, Barbara. It was great.
Have there been fewer hummingbirds this year? I read early in the year there was some kind of virus. We are usually inundated. I can't even count them. Well, this year we have 2.
Yeah, I know. So I've heard similar stories. I really don't know. It's possible. Things get going. I know there's a hummingbird network and people go crazy and they follow them from the time they land to the time they get to your door. And some of that is really not well documented information. So I can't tell you, but I wouldn't be surprised. They do have cycles. But our experience with the breeding bird atlas, ruby-throat hummingbirds are really okay. We don't need to worry about them unless something really disastrous happens.
So the ones that come to our feeders were probably there the year before?
That's correct. They will come back to a feeder. They live about 3 years, 3 to 5.
Yeah.
If they can make it back past the first year of their existence, back and forth, you've got to keep her for at least 2 years more. So you've got 3 years, maybe 5. Some recaptures, as I mentioned, where they captured them when they were 10 years old.
Wow.
They were able to, because they go back to the same place all the time, they were able to recapture. And it's hard to recapture hummingbirds. Very difficult.
Fantastic.
Our feeder is quite late. Last week, and they're ready back.
Yeah, they come back.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Most birds do. They disperse and then they come back. My bluebirds will raise them, their babies, and then they'll go away and they may come back. Some of the birds may come back, but what studies have shown that birds will come back to an area, maybe not specifically the box or the place, but within a certain range. And as they as they have their families, and they expand even further. So that's the dispersion that we're talking about when we talk about the dispersing of the species. That's how they inhabit different areas. That's why red-bellied woodpeckers are now here all the time. They didn't used to be. They started to expand their territory from the southern part of the, well, I think the Carolinas, and they started to come up maybe 15, 20 years ago. Now they're here. And a lot of that has to do with feeders, and a lot has to do with temperature change, climate change. We have to really accept the fact that we are changing the habitat and the habits and the requirements that many of these birds require. I mean, you know, if you look at bird statistics, we've lost over the past 50 years, from 1970 to now, about 5 billion birds. So we're losing a lot of birds.
Yeah, I can say that my observations here along the river was huge groups coming through. And since, I don't know, since probably about, it just suddenly dropped maybe in 2019 was crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy the drop.
Right, and then of course, if you have weather events, that adds to the decline also. The best thing to do is give them the habitat they require, plant the right kind of plants for them, give them shady place, whatever the bird requires, try to accommodate them. Don't cut all your grass, you know, let the grass grow, give it some junk or whatever they want to live in, brush. Field sparrows, we haven't seen many field sparrows because people cut everything down and we don't leave the small herbs and the brush that those birds need to live and to produce. Anyway, I could talk forever. I'm
So you see, Barbara, I didn't exaggerate at all. You really were wonderful. And now I have a very special treat for you in the back. Let me have that. Thank you.
Oh.
Pat Sanders is world famous for her rhubarb cake. I have seen grown men duel over the last piece. And she's got a big, big cake of it back there. So don't knock each other down, but you definitely want to try the rhubarb cake.
Rhubarb bars.
Rhubarb bars. So she cut up the cake, rhubarb bars. So go for the bars, guys. Go for the bars. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. And Barbara?
Okay. Thank you, Sheila.
We all love you, sweetie. All right, guys, go to it.
Oh, extinguish the chalice.
Yes, I know, but Steve isn't here, so I'm just going to do this. Steve, in your honor. No. Come on, Steve isn't here, but there we go. All right, guys. Everybody, our show.
Thank you so much.